Hi, everyone, and welcome to Natural Sanity Mama. I'm super excited to have you here, and I'm even more excited to have our very special guest, Alla, today with us. And we're going to be talking about healing the individual and the collective. They both go hand in hand. And I've known Alla for a couple years now. I don't even remember how long it's been, like maybe 2 or 3. And she's really, really helped me through some very challenging times in my life to kind of see the light in a way and move forward in life without having the heaviness that I was carrying. And so I've really used her as a lifeline over the years to move forward through challenging times. And I'm so grateful for you. And I can't think of a better person to talk about what we're going to be talking about today. But I would love to have you introduce yourself, because I think you wear many hats and you have over the years. So I would love to hear from you, what you do, where you spent the majority of your time, how you got to doing what you do now, and what passions you right now, and what are you focusing on right now in life. So take it away.
Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. And, if you asked me even 10 years ago, who are you? What have you done in life? I would probably go into my education, into my achievements, into the alphabet soup after the name. But if you ask me now, I would humbly say I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience in this physical vehicle, just like the rest of us.
Yes.
And that would probably be my main identification point, because from that point, we wear different masks, different hats, and play different roles. And I guess that is my main role right now. I see myself as a frequency holder, to hold the highest frequency that I can and radiate that into the world. Because I have been in healing for such a long time, I'm not even going to say how old I am right now.
Not that it matters.
Way beyond mama's age. I'm in the grandma category. And it's a beautiful place to be. I love my age, by the way. But, I've been in healing for so long that I came to a point that the only way to heal anything out, including yourself, is just to step into the highest frequency that you can hold at any point in time. So just to give an idea for your listeners, I started in the medical establishment as a medical doctor and as an immunologist.
Wow.
And then I moved through certain spiritual growth, let's say, because I was never satisfied with the fact that some people did not heal. First, they didn't heal from the medication that were given. There was always these few whom I could not help with any medicine. Working as an allergologist, as an immunologist in a clinic. So that led me to explore acupuncture. And some people healed from that, but others did not. So I was digging in deeper and deeper and deeper why people do not heal. And that led me to craniosacral therapy, to Reiki, and finally to exploring the path of shamanism. And I would say that now I do not even practice medicine, and I don't even want to call myself a healer anymore, because all of those roles are limiting. I would say that I do my best to be in ceremony every day. And that is how I would define it. And sometimes you're more of a priestess, and sometimes you're more of a spiritual warrior, because we have both the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine in us. And both are needed to be balanced to navigate the turbulence of life that we are experiencing right now. So that is how I would characterize myself right now.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I would introduce myself.
Thank you so much. So I'm I'm really, really curious. Well, the number one reason we're here really is to kind of give moms a little bit of support, hold space for them, and just first of all let them know that it's absolutely normal that mothers are bearing a big brunt of all the tumultuous energy that's going on right now. We tend to, not only do we have to have enough in us to maintain sanity for ourselves, but we're also constantly responsible for, sheltering our kids, or maybe not sheltering, but giving them the best possible experiences under the circumstances, right? So we often are bearing that responsibility, and it's a lot weighing heavily on your shoulders. And so number one, I want to say that anyone who's experiencing lots of hardship right now or mental health issues, like, this has been a really, really challenging 2 years. So just give yourself the permission to know that it's 100% okay not to be okay right now. But at the same time, I do want to offer some tools and some any sort of advice or tools that I can to moms to help them kind of move one step in front of the other, as best as they can, and for themselves, their family, and their children. And I just wanted to hear from you, like, over the last couple of years, did you find, like, what are some of the things that people tend to come to you with? Like, what are the most common issues people are having, or hard times that they're having, or yeah, like, do you see a pattern is basically what I'm trying to ask.
I do, but before we go into that, I would say that I can give you a little bit of guidance right away.
Love that. Let's go right into
yeah,
that.
let's just go right in. Like, we can do the talking later. But right away, I can say that whenever I teach a body, mind, spirit class, or whenever I give any guidance whatsoever, the first mantra that I offer to people after I ask them to take 3 deep breaths, because it is physiologically impossible to breathe and be in fear at the same time. That's physiologically impossible. If you're in angst, if you're in fear, first of all, just take 2 deep or 3 deep, not 2, 3, 3 deep conscious breaths, and start with that. So the mantra that you may choose to repeat when you are in a state of distress is, I am who I am, you are who you are, it is what it is, and everything is in divine timing and according to divine plan. And that sort of takes me right into the spectrum of what I deal with. I can't pinpoint what I deal with. It's very varied, it's very individual, depending on your personality, depending where you are in your earth path, and what kind of circumstances you have created for yourself to learn. That's my position on it. There will be very, very different challenges. But there, of course, are some archetypical challenges that all mothers go through. And when we bring up that mantra, I am who I am, you are who you are, it is what it is, the first part, this is where we come to peace with ourselves, with other people, and with the circumstances that we are in. And every single person does the best that they can with the resources they have at the moment they are doing it. That's all it is. And that is what I want to teach younger women, because I've been through that too. You do not have to be perfect. You just need to be good enough, just good enough. And sometimes mothers are so exhausted, so tired, they don't feel emotions for the people that they deeply, truly love and serve and nurture. And I just want to tell everyone, don't feel guilty about that. You cannot emote all the time, because that takes a lot of energy. So even if you feel numb, but you're still there for your child. You're loyal. You're performing an act of love. You're not leaving them. You're with them. You're doing the best that you can. So no guilt, blame, and shame. We just don't go there because you don't want to share that with your child. So you need to get to a point where you tell yourself, I am a spiritual being having a physical experience. And sometimes in this physical vehicle, it gets intense and it gets difficult, especially if I'm a caregiver. There is such a thing as caregivers burnout. So don't add insult to injury, so to speak. Don't put yourself down as you are already handling a lot of things. You already have a lot of things on your plate as a mother. The mother archetype is challenging. I also have a saying that the mother archetype is a lifelong sentence. You never step out of it.
So much.
Once you are in it, you don't get like a card out of jail free.
No way out. No get out of jail
once
free.
a mother, you're always a mother, no matter how old your children are. Like mine is 27, right? And it's a whole different set of issues.
Yeah.
That may keep you up at night, right?
Yeah.
If you choose to do that. But that is not necessary. And we'll talk about that also, that you need to trust the universe. So I am who I am, you are who you are. If you look from that perspective at your children are also spiritual beings who are having a physical experience in the physical body, right? And they chose you for a reason. They chose you for a reason, not somebody else. So there's this sacred contract between you and the child that you will be their caregiver and then you will set them free. You'll still worry about them. Don't get me wrong. So you'll still have to watch that if you're a conscientious mother so that you don't send the wrong vibes to your adult children. But with small children, it can be very challenging. Plus, in nature, even the most reckless mothers, when they have the prolactin pumping through their blood, they become really conscientious, really attached to their children. And for those who already started as conscientious and responsible, they can just go into overdrive. So you really need to relax into it. And as I look back, and I was a single mother, and it was really difficult. It was a really challenging path. Well, it can be challenging in a relationship as well.
Of course.
What I would say is just relax into it. Don't overanalyze whether you're doing things right or whether you're permanently damaging your children. You're not permanently damaging your children. Just drop that right away. That kind of perception does not help you at all. You're doing the best that you can. You're good enough. And actually, I had that experience with my son when he was 8 years old, and I couldn't put them in football because I just didn't have the resources for it. And I was a working mother, a single mother. And I had a pity party with myself. I just broke down. I sat down and I started crying. And I said, I'm not a good enough mother. I can't do this for you and I can't give you that. Oh my God. And I really went spiraling down into that victimhood mentality. Well, I'm human too, right? So I have my moments.
Exactly. We're going to have our moments.
And my son came up to me. He was 8 years old. He looked at me very sternly. And then he said to me, stop it. You're good enough. And I just went, and then I said to myself, yeah, what's going on here? Why all this drama? Is that me wanting attention because it's so hard for me? Is it about me or about him? And I just snapped out of it.
That's powerful. He
So that's
reminded
what,
you. He reminded you what you probably told
absolutely. So
him.
that is what, if anybody's feeling that way, that's what I'm going to tell you. Stop it. You're good enough. Stop it. Just stop it. Stop putting yourself down. When souls have contracts and when two souls come together in a close relationship, especially mother-child, that's probably the closest relationship that you can have on earth, because another human being, it comes through us into this physical reality. We need to honor the fact that our children agreed to experiencing with us everything that we're going through.
Yeah.
And just leave it at that.
Mm.
And then you won't need to go into these trials and tribulations of whether I'm doing things right. Oh my God, the circumstances there, the masks, the whatever. How am I going to explain that to my child? You don't need to. Because there's a part of the child that is right up there in the spiritual realm, really, really high, vibrating together with your higher self, their higher self, and your higher self. And you have an agreement that you go through this together because everyone comes for the purpose of learning.
Yes.
And another thing is that if you see a soul in a small package, that does not mean that it is not karmically loaded. And that does not mean that it has this higher self standing behind them. And as a mother, I think it's really, really important to trust that when you are not looking over your child, there is a higher power that is basically making sure they have your back so that nothing happens to your kid.
Wow, that's really powerful.
And that brings immediate relief.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is part of the mother archetype path, to learn that you need to give your child the freedom to breathe and not smother them and micromanage them with your attention, because then you're fulfilling your needs, not your child's. Your needs to make sure that you feel that your child is not in danger. That's our needs, not theirs. They want to be free. They want to grow and explore. And we just need to learn how to support them, not be fearful for them. From an energy perspective, by the way, whenever you're in fear or when you're in anxiety, what happens with your energy field, it literally collapses. It's a very constricting energy. So as your energy field becomes smaller, it literally shrinks, then you start pulling energy out of your child.
Wow.
And if you understand that really deeply, you will stop doing that, because you're actually, instead of sending a blessing, instead of protecting them with unconditional love, instead of trusting, and that is when your field moves outwards and envelopes them, and that is what protects them. That's an additional layer of protection for them. You're actually stripping them of their protective layers.
Wow.
And inviting into your life what you fear most. That doesn't mean that all of the horrors that you have in your head for your child will necessarily happen. But that definitely interferes with the child's path, and they have to work against that first before they can get to their own stuff.
You're giving them another obstacle to overcome.
That's correct. So you're just adding to the toxic load energetically that is already in the environment, from which we want to protect them. That's the irony of it.
Yes. So would you agree that, like, even with what's going on right now, one of our biggest missions is to go inward and do all the work necessary to make sure we are not in the state of fear, so that we can just be that energy for our child? It's as simple as that, right? It always goes back to going back in, right?
You absolutely hit the nail on the head. That's where all change starts, Olga. We can't
Mm.
heal the world around
Yeah.
us. We can only go and change our own vibration and then radiate that frequency. And that is what will start changing the world, the collective unconscious. And yes, the energies around us, the energies we are submerged in,
Mhm.
are quite chaotic. It's a
Yeah.
cacophony of sounds out
Yes.
there. It's not a beautiful symphony right now. It's very challenging. And you can focus on the noise, which is really loud sometimes,
Yes.
or you can start focusing on your inner space and on your own music, so to speak, on your own harmony,
Mm.
and start holding that frequency of light and then bringing it to your family, to your community, and to the world at large. And I'll tell you another little secret that many healers use. When we get really, really tired of registering what is going on in the world, and sometimes there are energies that happen that run you over like a bulldozer, and you just go, what just happened here? What did I pick up here? I don't even know what that was. It wasn't my personal stuff.
Yes, that happens.
It
That's
was
been
just
happening a
something
lot.
really heavy, and like, what was that, right? So we, through conscious awareness, we choose to disconnect from the collective unconsciousness, from the pain and suffering of the world, to rest.
Mm.
We can't take ourselves out of the collective, because that is not a spiritual thing to do. We're all one. So we are all one on some level. But at the same time, nobody said that you can't take a break and rest.
Right.
You know, even during wartime, people needed to sleep and rest to deal with whatever they needed to deal the very next day. And we're sort of in a spiritual war right now as well. So self-care is really important from that perspective, because how can you give to your child or anyone around you if you're running on empty? You can only give out of fullness. So it is our duty to take care of ourselves, to recharge ourselves, to find balance and harmony in ourselves, and then do the best that we can to bring it and offer it to others. And I'll tell you another thing, that children who are younger than 7 years of age, and this seems to be like a sort of an interesting number, because the individualization of the child fully begins after 7 years of age. But while the child is younger than 7, they are literally one with the field of the mother. Their energetic field and our energetic field is one, cannot be separated. And let's say in homeopathy, very often, treatments are given not to the child, especially if the child spits it out, but to the mother. And that affects the child, the vibration affects the child. And we did the same when I was working in an acupuncture institute. We would not needle little kids. Why? If it's the 6 or 7-year-old kid, why do you want to stick needles in? Never understood that. We would use the mother.
Oh, that's
As
beautiful.
the substitute, and that would correct whatever was going on in the child's field. And by the way, you don't even have to use the mother. You can just take an acupuncture hand and do because we did hand and foot acupuncture at that point, and you can just do it with a substitute. And we'll learn that later, so we don't have to harm the mothers in that way. Inflict pain, not harm. Inflict pain.
Right.
Inflict unnecessary pain.
No poking.
No poking, exactly. No poking. We're not pokers.
Yes. That's
and we don't support poking.
Ironically, I'm the one that gets poked by the child most of all.
That's okay.
That's allowed.
That's your karma. work on yourself so that stops.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. That's beautiful. Thank you for that. That is really, really powerful. Yeah, that's really what every single time I feel that vibration of overwhelm, like I'm trying to be in too many places at once. I'm trying to constantly check on what's going on in the news. I just remember like, whoa, I need to come back in, turn all that off and just like recenter and refocus and take a deep breath and then, move forward from there. But yeah, that's probably like the best advice that you can give anyone really. It's like when you're feeling overwhelmed by the world, you just need to step back sometimes and recharge, and just recharge your battery.
Exactly. The thing is that when you are a mother with young children, you do need to prioritize.
Of course.
And your priority is absolutely your child.
Yeah.
And whatever's happening out there in the world can be put on hold.
Mm-hmm.
We do need an adult life.
Yes.
You can't live in the nursery and in kindergarten all the time. Otherwise, we can go mental, right? We do need some adult conversation and feel that we are living an adult life. But at the same time, the needs of your kids are a priority because as a mother, once you agree to that, as I said, it's a lifelong sentence, and you need to take care of your children first and just put everything else on the back burner. It can wait.
Yes.
Your child is your priority. And don't feel guilty about any of that. No guilt, no blame, no shame. All of that is completely useless. Those are very, very low vibrations. So you can choose to let go. Whenever we talk about healing is very simple, very simple. It can be hard to be consistent with it, but the principles of healing are very simple. It's all about choice. And it's all about choices in every single moment in time. Do I choose this or do I choose that? So when you choose and you know that it feels right for you in the moment, you're healing. And when you're doing something that makes you even more overwhelmed, that's your indication that probably you're not moving in the right direction. And make other choices to realign.
Small choices over
Very
time.
small choices.
Yeah.
But that's what life is made out up of. It's not about these huge decisions that we make. It's a lot of small steps that lead up to a huge
decision. Yes. That's very
And
powerful.
whether that huge decision comes with a crisis or not also depends on whether these small steps were taken in the right direction at the right time.
Right. And sometimes it leads us somewhere that if those steps were wrong, it just creates an awakening and then you start moving in another direction. Right. So.
Okay, because I'm a trained professional, forgive me, I will pay your attention to the word wrong. There are no wrong decisions. There are decisions that are more or less optimal.
I love that.
Please step out of that mentality that's black and white, right and wrong.
Right.
It's not black and white. It's not right or wrong. It's the best that you could do at that moment. And that is where we need to step out of self-judgment and step into self-forgiveness. And if we look back with the gift of hindsight, right, you could see how you could have done, but that was not your mentality at that point in time. And whatever decision you made, that allowed you to grow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As you said, to awaken some part of yourself.
Yes.
So be kind to yourself.
There is no wrong.
There is no wrong. There is no right. There is no wrong. It is what it is. That's the third part of the mantra. I am who I am. You are who you are. It is what it is.
I love that. And I'm so yeah.
Sorry.
I just wanted to say that ever since I went to see you a long time ago, the mantra of I'm doing the best with the resources that I have. I think that's been my mantra ever since. And it's just been playing in my head. And I say it to everyone, and I say it in every single video or like something, whatever I spew out there into the world, because of what you said about guilt, right? Like it's so prominent, and we don't need any more of that. And all we need is to understand that we're doing the best that we can. And it's so powerful just to truly believe that. And the more you say it, and the more you will believe it, right? So I really have used that as my mantra, and it's really helped me turn things around. And anytime guilt starts to like prop up on me, I'm just like, no, I'm doing the best that I can. There's nothing more that I can do in this moment. And then it just becomes easy, right? It becomes easy. It's like I'm doing the best that I can.
Well, at least easier. Maybe
Easier.
not necessarily easy, but
never
to
easy.
a degree easier.
100%. 100%. Yeah. It just becomes easier to see the path out of the spiraling that happens in our brains. For sure.
Yeah, it is. I think that every healing starts with acceptance. It doesn't end with acceptance, it starts with acceptance. And you don't have to like what you see around you to accept it. And that is a very freeing statement. If you tell yourself, you can hate it, but you accept it, because to some degree you have contributed to it consciously or unconsciously by either calling it into your life or focusing your attention on it at this moment in time. And whatever is brought up to your attention, you don't have to like it. It is what it is. That's where the it is what it is comes in. I don't like it. I accept it. It is what it is. And now that I have accepted it, what can I do to change? You can't make that change before you accept the situation as is. That would be really working uphill instead of going downhill. I'm throwing you everything I learned like in 40
this
years.
is a lot. Whoever's listening to this is like seriously getting some amazing stuff like that.
Maybe some of you will have some aha moments, right?
Definitely. This is definitely an interview full of aha moments, even for me. Especially for me. I'm in the throes of it all, right? We all are. We're in the throes of it all. Everything's happening right now at the same time. Microcosm issues, turmoil in personal lives, turmoil in the external, and it completely makes sense that it's happening at the same time, right? Because the macrocosm is just a bigger vision of what's happening in here, so it's perfect.
Exactly. And we're never separated anyhow, right? Because we are this little hologram inside a big hologram, which is within the universal hologram. And everything's happening at the same time everywhere.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So if I may give you some guidance for everyone who's listening, if I may give you guidance, just breathe. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, whenever you feel that there's too much going on around you and inside of you, which may be both, right?
Yes.
One other or and, then you just take a couple of deep conscious breaths and you just tell yourself, I am here, I am now, and with the third breath, I am. So we can all do that right now.
Yes.
Just take a nice deep conscious breath. I am here.
I'm here.
I am now.
I am now.
And I am. And that just brings you to your spiritual center if you really follow your breath and you immediately start realigning. Because when you say, I am here, you're calling in the sacred feminine, which is the space. And you're opening the spaciousness around you for the healing energy to start to work with you. I am now, you're calling in the sacred masculine, which is about time. So you have, with 2 breaths, you're balancing your sacred feminine and your sacred masculine. And then you're uniting them by saying, I am. And that's your highest vibration. And if you do this on a regular basis, especially when there is little chaos happening around you first, you can very quickly learn to bring yourself to your spiritual center, to your spiritual backbone. And then once you learn how to do that with 3 breaths, then use that whenever the circumstances are not so favorable, when there's a lot of chaos around you.
So simple. You got to keep it simple.
It's very simple. It's very simple. And I'll tell you another thing. Like, there are male styles of healing and female styles of healing.
Yes.
There is masculine, sacred masculine medicine, sacred feminine medicine. The sacred masculine loves variety, goes this and there, can offer you many ways, many journeys, and so on to explore in consciousness. The sacred feminine is very still. You go into stillness, you rest in stillness, and you are healed. You don't have to do anything. You just need to connect to that vibration. And whether you connect to it through Mother Earth, by dropping roots and seeing yourself grounded into her energy matrix, which is already healed. Don't ground yourself into the physical part of Mother Earth. It's like in turmoil, a lot of it, or energetic. Go right to the matrix of harmony and peace. Ground yourself into that. Feel the force of gravity, which is Mother Earth's love for you. And then feel her pulling out all of the tension and all the fear out of you. And you can also feel her taking you into her womb. Womb energy is incredibly powerful. And in a female body, you have a womb. Work with it. It's a healing tool, not just a tool to produce babies to pump them out into the physical reality. It's also a tool of creativity. It has very deep metaphysical meaning. So allow yourself to be held by Mother Earth and rest. And Mother Earth loves mothers probably as much as she loves chocolate. That's what our Peruvian shamans taught me, that Mother Earth loves chocolate. But I think she loves mothers even more than she loves chocolate.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness. That's so beautiful.
Or you can just go in and plug into that feminine essence directly. You go to the universal womb of the mother.
And do you suggest people do like visual meditations, or just to sit with it, or what's the best way to go there?
Again, completely up to you. Some people are so fidgety that they cannot sit. Like 100%. If you send me to a Zen meditation boot camp, I will run away probably in half an hour. But if I sit there with my medicine bundle, with my mesa, and hold my stones, I might lose myself in that energy and go so deep in meditation and into stillness that I would not even notice that I'm sitting there for several hours. So it all depends on who you are and what you need. And sometimes the simplest meditation, just take 3 breaths, take 3 conscious breaths. Especially if you program them with the sacred masculine, sacred feminine energies and uniting the two, right? Like we did. Or you can go for a walk. You can go in nature. Nature is your healer. Your physical body, remember, is an integral part of nature. We live in an animal body. It responds to influences coming from Mother Nature. That's another mother we can call upon, right? So you can realign in nature, just to walk in nature with your kids. You don't have to go on a retreat
Exactly.
600 miles away and leave your kids behind to have a spiritual experience. You can have it together with them, especially if they're very young. And then they benefit from it because they are in it with you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So be really flexible. We really need to be flexible. And again, spirituality is not about sitting on top of a mountain and oming, which is a way to do it. But spirituality is bringing that highest frequency of vibration that you can hold at the moment.
Yes.
To your every breath.
Your everyday life, right? To just doing your everyday thing.
Every breath. Every breath. And that is a profound spiritual practice as well. And sometimes you will go high up in frequency and you will be able to hold bliss. And sometimes, like, God help me to hold this peace and not say something that I will regret because I'm just about good to blurt something out that I don't want to be public.
Yes. Yes, I've been there.
And that's spiritual too.
Yes.
But then take that energy and work with it, because that came up in me. If I wanted to call somebody a name, that's who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
I better work with that.
Exactly.
That's my shadow coming up for healing.
Oh, that's beautiful. So every single thing that we feel and we come across and we see in the external world just asks us to come back inside and to ask, where are we going to go next with this, and how are we going to channel this towards something, or release it, or just coming back and reevaluating and then moving forward. That's all we can really do.
I'll share with you what I use to really quickly realign myself, especially when sometimes things get chaotic. I always remind myself that life flows through me as me. Life flows through me as me. There's no separation between me and life. And every single experience can be a spiritual experience, because spirit is present everywhere. That's why it's omnipotent, omnipresent. It is literally everywhere. And it can be pure spirit where you engage with higher dimensions, or spirit still flows through chaos. Spirit still flows through low density energies. You know, I read somewhere once that people who bring painful lessons to others, those who betray us, that maybe even physically hurt us, they stop for a moment in their own spiritual evolution, not revolution. That's what's going on right now. Evolution.
Yes, that's different.
They stop in their spiritual evolution to deliver a lesson so you can evolve quicker. And we need to thank them for that.
Yeah.
They're teachers at that moment. They're there for us. They're not doing it to us because we called them in, consciously or unconsciously. Some of the lessons I had in my life, I tell myself, I need my head examined why I chose them while I was still up there before coming into the physical body. Like, I was in my right mind. What was that all about? But again, with the gift of hindsight, when the lesson is over, then you see the beauty of it.
So
Only then you see the
yes.
beauty then.
Yes. That's powerful. And that's been my reality the last 2 years, you know, like having such a challenging year. And then looking back and just being like, I'm going to channel this. And there's so much learning that I've had. And I just want to project it outward and show people that, like you said, they are who they are. It is what it is. And you can learn from every single challenge.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. And exactly. Instead of the word projecting, I apologize.
Oh, that's fine.
The teacher in me.
Words are important.
Instead of the word they are. Instead of the word projecting, I would say radiating. I would radiate that spiritual knowledge to others. Because when you project, that means you're aiming it at someone, and maybe that someone does not want it. Right?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I want this life, love and light, and all of those unicorns, take them back. They freak me out, you know. But when you radiate it, then you offer it as a blessing to all life. And then those people who would benefit from that, they will resonate with it, and they will be supported by that.
Yes, they'll come forward.
If you start to focus it on specific people and project it to specific people, they might perceive it as an energy attack. Because when a system is really rigid and it does not want to evolve, it does not want to change, any love and light, a higher frequency that could help it change and evolve, will be perceived as a threat and as an energetic attack.
Wow, that really resonates with everything that's going on right now. Yeah.
Yes, I don't necessarily want to go into all of the details in a public video.
Of course. We've been at this for an hour, so I think we're gonna wrap it up.
Exactly. So we'll keep it all general.
Yeah, we'll keep it very general. And honestly, I think people understand what we're talking about.
And people will figure it out for themselves.
People will hear what they need to hear. And I thank you I'm sure that there's many people that will listen to this and have many aha moments. And
one thing that I need to say before we finish this up, which is really important.
Yes.
That there is such a thing as the observer's effect. And the observer's effect, the way you view a situation or even another person specifically, can influence how that situation evolves or that person behaves.
Right.
In other words, we don't want to lock any person or any situation in any kind of negative viewing, so to speak, for the lack of a better word.
Yeah.
We're trying to get out of polarity, but I'll use these words. So let's say if you see a person and think to yourself, oh, this person will never change. Oh, they're so-and-so, they're limited, whatever you think about them negatively. What you're doing is you're creating a very rigid structure, a very rigid pattern of interaction energetically. And even if that person starts to evolve and change and actually starts to grow and evolve, whenever they meet you, because you view them in a certain way, they will just show you the dark side of the moon. They will show you what they always shown you. So if you look at them and say, I don't know your spiritual path. I don't know where you came from, where you're going. I honor your spiritual path. And I'm open to the possibility that you, as any other soul, have your own plan for growth and evolution, and leave it at that.
Yes.
And then you free them from the way you look at them.
Mm.
And then if they do evolve, they come to you and they will interact with you in a new pattern, in a more evolved pattern.
That's beautiful.
So never lock anyone, your children, parents, other people who have different perspective in any kind of negativity. Always leave room for spirit to move.
Mm.
And that is very true also for the events that we are witnessing right now. Be
That's such a
very
good point.
careful how you observe them,
Yes.
so you don't feed any low frequency energies.
Mm.
See everything as already resolved or in the process of resolving if you really can't see it resolved. But at least in the process of resolving, in the process of harmonizing. And that sort of brings us to what we started with. How do we bridge and build a community that is all inclusive with people of many different opinions, many different perceptions? That's how you start viewing it. You see people coming together, very different. We don't all have to be the same. And you hold that in your physical body and radiate that all are welcome. We step out of judgment. We don't judge ourselves either. We let that judgment go. So in the spirit of non-judgment, non-attachment, non-resistance, welcome everyone, whoever is ready to interact on that level. And those who are not ready, we view you as brothers and sisters who are evolving and will find your way and will come to that whenever the time is right for you in your soul's journey.
Yeah.
So we leave everything open-ended so that things can grow and evolve and come together instead of trying to shift things in the physical or on the emotional and mental level and force things, try to glue things together that like fall apart. There's no need for that, especially if you go into that divine feminine, into that stillness and into allowing and into observing. That's the divine feminine. The divine feminine creates space for everything to be as is and trusts that as life flows through everyone and everything, everything will start to move with the process of life and evolve. And we're just observing it with kind eyes. And that is what you can bring to your family, to your children, to your neighborhood, to our city,
Yes,
to our country, to the world. But it starts with you. And you observe yourself with kind eyes. I accept everything that I have done or did not do. I accept everything that has happened or not happened to me, because everything is in divine timing and according to divine plan. And I am part of that plan. I'm part of that timing.
yes.
There is no separation between me and life, between the people that I love and love. On one level, we are all one. And on a different level, we are all individuals. We're in that illusion. And both are true. We are both individuals and we are both one. Because from the perspective of oneness, there are no polarities. They merge. They merge. They're two sides of the same coin, two sides of the same coin. There's no contradiction.
Yes.
And if you start living from that place, or at least striving to get into that place, remember your 3 breaths. Just practicing that 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times a day, as often as you can, whenever you remember. Put it on the fridge. At least that's the place I pass by
3 breaths.
most often when I'm in the house.
Yeah.
As a reminder, that will help you to get to that center. And in the center is very still. It's very peaceful. And then we move from that center and we engage with life.
Thank you for that. That's powerful. And we've come full circle now.
Yes, now it feels complete.
Yes.
So I am who I am. You are who you are. It is what it is. Everything is in divine timing and according to the divine plan. And everybody did the best that they could with the resources they had in the process of their soul's evolution. And let's just honor each other's journey and look at each other with kind eyes.
Yes, that's beautiful. I would love also people to know how to find you if they either want a healing. I don't know if you do it virtually or just in person, but I would love for people to know how to find you.
We can start with Facebook if I
Okay.
don't end up in Facebook jail.
If you don't end up ousted.
Exactly. You can start with Facebook, or you can email me directly and I'll send you the email so you can offer
Perfect.
it to people.
I'm going to post all of Alla's contact information. And do you do healings virtually as well?
Yes, I do.
Perfect.
I do them online through Zoom.
Awesome. So yeah, we're going to cut this interview as it is. I'm going to stop the recording, and I really, really appreciate you coming and being here and giving us your time. It means so much. And I truly feel like this interview will have a huge impact on a lot of people. I just feel like these are many of the messages that people need to hear right now, especially mamas. And I couldn't be more grateful.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure, and many, many blessings, many, many blessings from my womb to your womb. Many blessings.